we are live. Let me post the team link on Twitter or something like this. I'll share my screen in a moment. Let me first post this on Twitter. Yeah, the topic of the stream is about single page apps. How the page loads of many single page apps are suboptimal. Let me post this one moment. Let me start sharing my screen. So let me begin with what made me think through some of the problems of page loads in single page app. I was looking at this talk from React author Jason Miller in VeedConf 2024. And this one slide struck me, and I've not thought through this before, but the way Jason Miller explained it or made this single slide, it kind of explains the current way most single page apps just load. Yeah, so if you are just using Vite out of the box, you're using a router like React router or something. You didn't do anything extra to try and get better page loads. This is how it's kind of how it's going to work. So you'll be loading all your common JavaScript first, and then you will be rendering the screen, maybe the layout, the side menu. You're going to be fetching critical data, most likely in parallel with this. It's not exactly serial like this. These two, I think, would be parallel. But then your route has not, your page hasn't loaded. So in Vite, you have code splitting. In anything any JavaScript file you have imported through dynamic import, the await import method you have used, that would be loaded after like the shell of the page has loaded. Yeah, it won't be loaded in parallel. So this will be sequential. So here's the common JS that loaded, and here is the route JavaScript that's loading. Yeah, the route JavaScript and its dependencies all happening in parallel here. And then finally, your page will fetch the data which is required. So that is the actual page data. So you are probably in your home page, or you're in your settings page or users page or something like this. The user data or the home page dashboard data that gets fetched here. Yeah. So this is in sequence. So only after this has loaded, after the route JS has loaded, only then you will be fetching the data. So this is all sequential. So you have got one, two, three, at least sequential loading happening here. So let me put it, let me show it to you in another way. So this is my own app. I've been working on this company carrier.com for many years on this dashboard, and never bothered to check how the first page load works. But when I saw this slide from Jason Miller, I immediately understood that this is most likely a problem with my app as well. Yeah. So I looked at my app and I figured out this. So the HTML takes around 400 milliseconds to load. Then there's a index.js. This is what Vite. This is the bootstrapping of the application. Vite calls it just index.js. That takes around. This is one run of my app. Yeah, so it was around 53 milliseconds. And then pages JavaScript. Let me say page or route JS and its dependencies. They load in parallel here. Also in parallel is the common data, critical data for the app itself, maybe the header of the app or things like that. That will be loaded parallel. And finally, the page data is loaded after that. Yeah. So this takes even more time. So this is like we are talking about around 150 to 300 milliseconds. I'm going to put 300 milliseconds. I'll tell you why later on why this is that slow as well. There's a whole architectural decisions which I've taken that have made this way. Yeah. So yeah, this is a typical Vite app. If you are not looking at or trying to optimize your page loads, this is how it would look like. So let's just count how much time has passed. So this is 400 here and 300 here and another 100 here. You are looking at least 800 milliseconds of loading. And I think it's worse than that. So if I look at my app here, let's look at when exactly the last fetch call has completed. Let's look at that. So I'm seeing this 640, no, like what is, I think more than 2 seconds has passed. 1.5 seconds have passed since the beginning of this load. So yeah, it's not good at all. Yeah. I was thinking, how would I fix this? How would I go about fixing this? The low hanging fruit I see is we need some way to use module preload. Yeah, if we could figure out which page is being loaded and what are the dependencies of that page, all the JavaScript files, and also maybe the CSS files, all of them, can we use module preload, and also link tags has just preload. So for CSS, there is just link preload. See if I can find that. Yeah. So for CSS, I could use a link rel style preload. Where is it? Preload. So here I could use this. I'm using ESM, so I can't use it. I can't use this. You have to use module preload if you use ESM. It's gonna look something like this. Yeah. So if you could do this, then how would this look like? It would immediately change into this at least. Just doing the JavaScript and CSS in parallel, I would be able to get this in parallel here. This, no, this will stay here. Will stay here. Okay, let's move this up here. Let's put this here. Let's put this here. This one won't happen. Move this here. Yeah. So this is kind of how it would happen. So this both happening in parallel, index.js and all the page.js and dependencies would be loading in parallel. So let's see how much time this would save. We have got 53 milliseconds here. And here it is. So I could shave off, I guess, around 56 milliseconds or more. Yeah. This is at least a big improvement from the previous one. Yeah, I'm having actually more problems than this. Like this is a simplified view. I have also a problem of trying to determine mobile layout and desktop layout. So that is actually even more serial calls here. I've not put here in this diagram. Yeah. So even if I flatten that, I would get more than 53 milliseconds or 56 milliseconds of savings. Yeah. But I could do more than that. If I could also load the fetch right with the right with HTML, like a HTML uh, or like a tag that says preload of fetch. I'm not sure whether that is there. So let's see that. Yeah, I think you can fetch into a preload fetch. I've not looked into that. That's one way. But another way is also you could just put an inline script tag that calls this these common stuff and puts it into some global or something like that. Yeah, put it somewhere, cache it somewhere, so that I could use it later on. Yeah. So all of this, if all of this I could parallelize, then I would save even more and get it down to this. Yeah. So this is my ideal scenario. Let me put this here. Yeah. This would be my ideal scenario. But I also want to explain why I'm getting 300 milliseconds here. Yeah. The reason I'm getting 300 milliseconds is cost. I'm having this pre-flight requests for each of the endpoints. So here is this slash nums endpoints. You see this white dot, like this white color here tells that the request was stalled. It didn't fire until it was later. Look at the timing. There's a queuing here, 208 milliseconds. And what happened here is actually there was a pre-flight request for this because it's operating in a different subdomain. There was corresponding options request here. So let me just type that one endpoint here so that you can see what's happening here. The options request first was initiated. That took 200 milliseconds. And then the actual request happened, which took, okay, let's see how much did it take. It took 300 milliseconds. Actually, yeah. So I wouldn't save that much. I would save on this 200 milliseconds. So this is wrong, actually. So this was actually 500 milliseconds. Yeah. I could bring it down to 300 milliseconds. Yeah. But yeah, that's good, right? So from 400, from 400 or more than 2 seconds, that was a real world number, to I'm predicting around 700 milliseconds. Yeah. So I will come back to this problem, how I'll get rid of this options. Uh, the reason why this is happening is because it's my APIs are on a subdomain. I could get rid of that, then there wouldn't be any pre-flight request. Yeah. So let's go back. And yeah, it's not just a GET request. It's also having this auth headers. So there are some conditions where a pre-flight request happens and doesn't happen. So if you have the auth headers, I think that's when the pre-flight requests are also triggered. So I need to get rid of that, put it in the same subdomain, and these issues would be gone. Yeah. But one more thing I want to explain is that I won't be able to do this module preloading with the current architecture which I have. This dashboard which I have, it's just static index HTML file on a S3 bucket. I'm doing a static hosting of this. You do static hosting, you have no option for you to put any additional HTML while the page loads. Yeah. So I won't be able to do any of this if it remains in S3. I do need a server. Yeah. And I'm not suggesting go full server side rendering and like make the whole thing like a multi-page app style. All I'm saying is that even if you serve the same page, I still need to be able to inject some head tags for doing the module preloading and anything else. Yeah. So this brings me to the point that if you have been running SPAs on a S3 bucket or any static hosting, I think your SPA is running in a suboptimal way. Yeah. You need a minimal server that could uh, find what the dependencies of the routes are and put some module preloading tags there. Yeah. So this is my realization that without a server, SPAs will always be suboptimal. Yeah. And that is kind of sad. Like many people liked just putting SPAs in an S3 bucket and don't worry about it. Uh, and I'm not sure if like lots of people are doing this, but if this is like the industry practice, I think we have not explained to people that this would be a problem, and we have not explained to people how to solve it. Nothing like we are, like as an industry, I think we have um, did not do a good job trying to explain what the problems of just putting in static posting SPA. Yeah. But this also brings up with new challenges. If you want to find out with Vite, yeah, if you want to find out pages, JS dependency, routes, and all that, you need to know how to parse a route. Like what is a client-side route, how to parse it, and how to find that file from Vite manifest JSON. Yeah. So if you have a React router and your server is JavaScript, maybe you can find out your URL, parse it with your client side paths, and then figure out which route you're loading. But if you're using a server like any other language, yeah, Python, Ruby, Golang, how would you do this? You need to be able to know what exact client route is going to load on your server beforehand, figure out what dependencies you need to preload. Yeah. These things will not be given out of the box. Yeah. So yes, it needs a server. It needs tighter integration with the router. Yeah. So I am using Preact and Preact ISO, but the concept will apply to any router. I ported the Preact URL pattern matching to Python, Golang, Ruby, around 4 5 languages, and um, and then I could work on it. Then I could say like, okay, with Python, I could say this page is going to get loaded on the client, and so I need to look at the Vite manifest JSON for that route and figure out all the JS dependencies. Yeah, and then put all of those as module preload tags. Also the same for CSS. Put like find it from the manifest JSON, and then add that as preload tag. So I can show you what I mean. So here is a build. This is a mono repo, so ignore anything up of here. Look at only the dashboard repo. So this is the dashboard. It has a build, and the build has .vite manifest JSON. So you get this manifest JSON only if you put in the Vite config manifest true. Yeah, ignore this SSR manifest. I'm not using it right now. So we put manifest true, we'll get a .vite folder and manifest JSON. And from the Preact routes that I have, or I have a routes config. Yeah, from the routes config, I can figure out which exact client-side route is going to be loaded. So my home page is this dashboard.csx. If I look at the manifest.json entry for dashboard.jsx, you will see imports like these are the sub dependencies of the dashboard JSX. So I have this merchant, page content, grid, and all that blah blah blah. So these are the stuff that I need to put as module preload tags. I need to put this and these things at least as module preload tags. And there's also CSS. I have to put this as a preload tag. Yeah, this is the minimum that I'll have to do to get this working. So I have a small PA template working on. I want to show this in Python. Yeah, let's see this. Let's go to examples, Python. So in Python, I quoted the Preact ISO URL pattern matching Python. What it does is it kind of like prints out like if this is the URL you're trying to load and this is the pattern you want to match, it will tell you whether this URL does match this pattern or not. It's just a Boolean, true, false. Yeah. And from the server, any page that gets loaded, I can go and check all of the client-side routes. Is like if the URL matches that route or not. If it does match, then I can read the manifest JSON file, get the imports, get the CSS. I'm doing a little bit more as well. Title, the title tag page, even that I'm putting it here. And yeah, finally, constructing the HTML page, the HTML document, and then serving that file, serving that response. Yeah. So let's try this out. Exactly what to do here. Okay, let's see this. So yeah, this is the starter template. So if you go to my current repo, 1// a template at the main in the main branch, you will see the older code which I have, or the current code which I have, that's just using that's not using any server at all. Yeah, it's just an index HTML, and if you build it, you will get a static index HTML out. Yeah, so let's look at how that index HTML looks like. It looks like this. If you build it, you will get two more files, I guess, or maybe 3 more files. I'm not sure. You will get an JS file and a CSS file. That's it. And every single route on the application gets served this exact HTML. Yeah. But after putting this this code in here, what I'm getting here is what was it? Yeah, here it is. What I get here is, or let me go to the source code. Yeah. So you will see module preload here. Style sheet. Well, style sheet is loaded without preload. I guess, yeah, because this is the pages CSS, and this is the common CSS. Yeah. So style sheet doesn't need like a preload. I'm not sure whether this should be going down here. I might reconsider this, how to put this together. Maybe the style sheet have come below the last style sheet. Maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll rethink that. But this is just a proof of concept. Here is the module, which is this is what Vite puts in. These two are what Vite puts in by default, and this is what my code has put as new tool tags. Yeah. So yeah, now if you look at how the network request look like. Let me undo everything. You will see all these 4 files: the home JS, CSS, and the common JS and CSS, all loading in parallel. Yeah. And what else can we see? So there's a queuing going on here. I need to figure out what caused that queuing. We think through that. Okay, that's the DNS lookup and all that. So let me refresh again. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look into this. But I want this to be as fast as possible, as close as possible to the index, to the HTML. Once the HTML is loaded, immediately I want to load all of this in parallel. Yeah, but I have at least achieved to start in parallel. So I'll look at what is causing the stalling here. Okay, there's an initial connection going on. Okay. You have to figure this out. Yeah, but yeah, this is what I want to achieve. In this page, there is no data loading, but what I'm thinking is I'm going to have like a script tag after this, or somewhere here, script tag with fetch to the dependencies of this homepage. Yes, yeah. So any data that's homepage is depending on, try to load it as early as possible, put it into some cache promise somewhere, and get that working in the code. Yeah. So what I'm coming to is, why am I explaining all of this here? Like, why can't you just use a framework and be done with it? Yeah. Many people are using Vite directly. They're not using Remix or any of that. But I also want people to understand what is behind the framework, what is happening behind the framework, why the framework is built the way it is. Yeah. So Remix has page loaders, yeah, or the concept of loaders. And I think they get all this right. They load JS parallel, the data in parallel. They get that right. I was thinking like you don't have to go full SSR. This is somewhere in the middle. You're still in the SPA land. Yeah. You might be thinking that, okay, I'm changing the HTML, putting dynamic HTML here. Is this no longer an SPA? It is still an SPA because the body is empty. Yeah. So if you go here, the body is empty. There's nothing in here. Yeah. Your body is always going to be the same. It's just the head that's changing between page loads. So this is, I still consider this as a SPA. It's not a multi-page app. It's not a SSR project. Yeah. A little bit of dynamism has been added here, only here in the link tag. So I wouldn't classify this as a multi-page app. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm explaining all of this so that you understand what goes behind a framework. What is the thinking behind the framework? Why is it built the way it is? Yeah. So I'm going to be moving my template here in this direction. I have already a branch called preload. You can see the current work which I've done. Nowhere near ready, I guess, but this, like, I have got this much done, at least to have backend examples of Golang, PHP, Python, Ruby. At least this part is set that I'm going to be preloading the JS. This is the minimum that's required. Should I be preloading the data of the page on the server and then putting that as a JSON in the HTML? That is another approach. Yeah. This is pretty common in any SSR project. So if you are rendering the entire HTML, you're also going to put somewhere in the HTML the data for that page. So this is the old school React pages. I don't know about today's React server components and they call that React server actions and all that, how those plays in. But at least the previous architectures were like that. You render the whole page, all of the HTML is there, and inside the HTML also there's a JSON for that page, yeah, so that hydration can use that data. The difference with that and this is that the body is still empty. There is no full HTML. I could have the initial data here in the head tag, like inside a script tag. This is one way. Or I do it this on the client side. As soon as possible, I have to start the loading of the data. This is another way. Yeah. Now let's also go back to this whole course problem I was speaking about. Yeah. There's an options and there's a get pre-flight and all that. Yeah. So there's a side effect of putting everything into an S3 bucket. Yeah. Putting all your index HTML into a S3 bucket, into a static hosting, and serving that from there forced me to have another domain name for my APIs. Yeah. So the domain here is dashboard.carrier.com. The server is just static. So I couldn't do anything in dashboard.carrier.com. This is just a CDN pointing at an S3 bucket. Well, actually, I'm thinking a little bit more. Maybe I could have done with some CDN trickery, but this is the route I took. I am like, don't touch this domain. Make us whole subdomain mw.carrier.com and use that for all the APIs. Yeah. But the result of that is unnecessary pre-flight requests. When I could have avoided this altogether. Yeah. This is first party content, right? This is I control all of this dashboard.carrier.com and mw.carrier.com. I didn't have to do this. Pre-flight is like mostly relevant if you're kind of dealing with third-party APIs. This is all first-party API I'm dealing with, and this is like a self-affected problem, right? I didn't not have to do this. Yeah. Now it's going to be hard for me to change. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to change this in my current application. Yeah. This is like a decision which was taken like 5 years ago, and I don't know the consequence of trying to change it now. But ideally, if I was starting this business today, I wouldn't do this. I would do dashboard.carrier.com would be a server, and my APIs will be behind /API or something. Yeah. There are other reasons also to have a server. You can also do your sessions, cookies, all that easily if you had a server. Now, because this is not like I don't have a server and this is in a subdomain, I had to deal with jot tokens and then refresh that token and all those complexities, extra complexities come back in. If everything was on the same subdomain, I could have just used cookies, sessions, same site cookies, I guess, and that would have been more secure, easier to implement in some ways. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this is a whole reflection of where I went wrong with this whole application. If I were to do this whole app today, I wouldn't be doing this. I would, at most, what I would do is I would put my JavaScript file in a subdomain. That is fine. Yeah, that will not cause a course issue. Like if I put, let's go back here. Yeah. So this is saying /public, right? If this was cdn.domain.com, there would be no problem with course because JS files can load from any domain. CSS file can load from any domain. It doesn't cause a problem. But your index HTML should be from the root domain. Yeah, your index HTML, your API, all of this better if you put it in the same domain. And I could have avoided this whole horse and extra. What do you say? It's baggage, right? It's unnecessary 200 milliseconds. Yeah. So yeah, that's this is my current thinking. I'm also making the stream here so that I can document this, put it somewhere, collect my thoughts here because I have this fresh in my mind. Yeah, recommend you all to go and check um, talk from Jason Miller. This is a good talk from start to end. I would recommend this. It's a very good talk. Yeah, and he goes through many of these problems he have hit and also some specific issues with wheat and all that. That's a very good talk. Yeah, I recommend that. Uh, watch out for this space. I'm going to be uh, updating uh, more of my changes on Twitter, and also on this repo here, the React SPA template. And I'm going to take this video and put it somewhere here in the projects or somewhere in here so that future anyone can refer to it. I might even put it here, write it in the homepage itself. Yeah, I want people to know why this was built in this way. All right, that's it for today. Logging off. Thank you.